Hi, welcome to the channel. So this is a serial episode that I kind of describe how I make my goal every single week. And this week I'm gonna start by talking about inscription and tips that I have for everybody. It might not work for everybody, and it will only work for under one condition: is you don't sell missives and you don't craft like Dark Moon cards. Because I haven't tried crafting Dark Moon cards, and whenever I try to sell missive, there is that one guy who keep undercutting me. So I gotta spend like hours if I want to sell missives, just keep playing that dance with him, which is really annoying. So that's why I don't sell missives. So if you're on Storm Rage US, you're probably gonna run into the same issue. And if you are selling missive on Storm Rage US and you know who I am talking about, I'm not gonna tell you guys who he is or her. So if you want to figure it out, just start selling missive on Storm Rage US and you will know. And because of that, I pretty much got out of the market for selling the missives and by just crafting Tomb that's still mined. And let's look at my charts. Because whenever you're actually playing the auction house game, you're gonna need charts. So here is the chart that I have, and I start out like there are different sections. In this section, that I kind of gave you guys like a estimate about like the result of my milling and what you should really be spending on these like two type of herbs. And I only mill Death Blossom and Nightshade because the cost of these two is actually very low, especially the Nightshade. And if you actually want to mill and you buy other herbs, you're gonna get worse results than Nightshade. So it's completely not worth it. So just mill Nightshade and Death Blossom, and you can mill Death Blossom assuming you don't need the pigment for the tranquil pigment. And down here, I kind of have a list of the item that I actually tried it out, which is the missives of Threat, Haste, Mastery, and Verse, the Tomb of the Still Mind, and the Codex. Do not sell Codex. I tried selling Codex, and it did not end well. It took forever to sell. In the end, I had to pretty much undercut everybody by a lot to actually sell it. And it's not because I was constantly being undercut. The reason is Codex is actually going to be used for raids, because then you can apply the talent change to everybody instead of the tone, which only applies to yourself. So technically, only raids need the Codex. And usually the raid leader will have access to Inscription himself. I guess it's called Scribe, right? He probably have access to a Scribe himself. So they're probably not going to need to buy it unless someone finds a really good deal, then they just buy it. So I don't have a very good time selling Codex comparing to selling Home the Still Mine, which sells like just flies off the shelf. If you're selling it during the raid times or like pretty much 7 to 9, they sell really fast. And they kind of sell overnight as well, but then they're not selling as well. But for these missives, right, they might sell well, but then I run into a problem, like I mentioned, someone keep undercutting me, and these undercut are unlike undercut for consumables like potions and food, right? Because for potion and food, if anybody played the auction house game, usually what people do is they're gonna put their stack with like 20 items and they just list it. So you just duplicate what they do and you list it too. So the issue of doing that is people usually buy food at like a whole stack, which is 20, a potion too. Or they might buy less. So if they buy less and you're the first guy listed, they're gonna buy your item. And if they buy 20, they're gonna buy out your stack before they buy the other guy's stuff. And from time to time, you're gonna run into a situation where people buy more than 20. So they buy maybe like 5 stacks, which is 100. So what happens if you got undercut and someone bought 100, they're gonna buy the guy that undercuts you, they're gonna buy your item, then the guy buy the item of the guy previously, assuming you guys are only posting like 20 items a stack, right? So if they keep doing that, then they run into an issue of pretty much whoever that's on the top is gonna sell a lot more. Because assuming you guys been playing that game, and through that 100 item 5 stack, 3 stack belongs to them and 2 stack belongs to you. So they sell more than you. So, but then again, you can still sell stuff that way because the guy knows if you don't sell anything, they're gonna piss you off and you're gonna undercut the market to non-profitable. So no one's gonna be like a asshole and keep listing them for like a couple hundred a stack, because that's when you get people undercutting you to oblivion. So yeah, that's but then like I mentioned before, missives are different. No one's gonna buy like a bulk of missive. It's like, who's gonna buy 20 missives? Who's gonna buy 5 missives? Usually people need missives for their Legos, right? So they're gonna buy like 1 or 2. I did run into some situation people might buy 4. They're probably for like crafting like, I don't know, level 230 gear or something. But that's like very rare. Most of the times people just buy like 1 of missive that they want, because you need 2, right? So they're gonna buy one type, maybe 1 crit and 1 haze or something along that line. So missive is a market that you cannot be undercut. If someone undercuts you, you must undercut them back. Because if you don't, they're gonna sell their stuff, and your stuff is never gonna sell. So because of that guy who keep undercutting missive, and once I sold everything, I was like, dude, I'm out of the market. And I left. I was like, okay, that missive is yours. Not to mention, if we look at the current price of the missives, right? The cost of missive is so much higher. And assuming you buy your own ink, but then if you kind of melt your own stuff, you're not gonna run into that issue. So this is just assuming you're too lazy to actually melt your own pigment. So if you're too lazy to do that, you can run into an issue right here. That would be a lot of them are actually costing a lot more gold, and you're losing a huge profit percentage over here. Of course, like if you compare selling the tome of the still mine, or selling the ink, you probably should just sell the ink. But then again, there's the issue of how much you can sell like in a day. Ink has a pretty low demand, because most people who actually need to buy inks are used to craft like codex, missive, tome, or the Darkmoon decks, and they're all inscription. So if they have time, like AFK, they just put one of the character on AFK and turning all those pigment into ink. So they don't need anybody to actually do anything for them. But over here, we're assuming like over here, like at the price here, right? You're assuming people are too lazy to do that, and they didn't have time to actually mill and turn pigment into ink, and it's not costing them this much. Then they pretty much can't afford to make missives, tome, or codex. What I can afford to make though is the Darkmoon deck, which I did not kind of start. So I don't know. Maybe next week I will. So anyway, let's go back up to here to talk about the milling results. So I milled 2 types of herbs, a nightshade and a death blossom. A lot more death blossom. A lot more nightshade than death blossom. And the death blossom cost on US Storm Rage is actually going up. It used to be I can buy something around like 3 gold, and like, you know, it's no problem. But then nowadays I have to buy them around like 4 gold. So it's getting a little bit more expensive. Previously I can buy it somewhere around 2 gold, right? But then now they're not. So anyway, the cost of it is going up, but that's not the issue, because we want to calculate how much we can afford to buy them at for specific profit that we want to get at. So anyway, here are pretty much my results of milling the Death Blossom and Nightshade, the Umbra ink, the luminous, Umbra pigment, luminous pigment, and tranquil pigment. And if we look at these, you're gonna realize we can calculate the rates, right? So the rates will be just divide the pigment by however much you're milling from, so that's easy. So I use that to calculate the rates down here. And that's like 15%, that's like 14%, this is like 1 point some percent. But then if you look at the 2 different Death Blossom milling, you're gonna realize the rate for Tranquil Pigment is very unstable for these 2, because this is almost like, well, less than half of what you get for the first attempt. So the data here is not good, but then, like I mentioned before, I'm not sure if I talked about it, but I don't use Tranquil Pigment, so this is pretty much worthless to me. So it's like, okay, whatever, not important. So the only thing that's important are the Umbra Pigment and Luminous Pigment, for me anyway. So then once I calculate these, I go down to here. These are the average of the results for everything else. Tranquil Pigment average for Death Blossom is 0.82. Again, it's not very accurate. I don't have a lot of data. I probably need more data for this to be somewhat accurate, because like it's like 0.04. Like when you have something that's like 50%, like greater than 50% differences, you can't say like you can average them. You really can't. You really need more data here. But then again, like I said, I don't really use twinkle pigment, so it doesn't really matter to me. So we can ignore that. So the rate here we're going to look at is 15% of Death Blossom for the Umber pigment and 14% for the Luminous pigment. For Nightshade, they're pretty much both around 25%. It's like slightly, like Umber pigment is slightly more than Luminous, but then if you do like a plus or minus like 5% differences or something, they're pretty much within the standard deviation. So then once we have all these data here, I divide the Umbra and the Luminous by 3, their rates, to calculate how many. So I guess I should talk about why I divided by 3, because I want to calculate how many Tomb of Still Mind I can make with that. So, and if we look at down here, you need 3 Luminous ink and 3 Umbra ink to actually make a single Tomb of the Still Mind. And because of that, you can divide these two by 3 to calculate how many Tomb of the Still Mind you can make. And since these are rates, then you say, what is the percentage chance for me to get enough of these ink? Well, in here's pigment, but you can turn pigment into ink. So let's call it pigment, actually, not call it ink. So how much pigment you will need to actually make one of these Tomb of Still Mind. And in this case, we're gonna result is if you melt a single Death Blossom, there's a 5.09% chance and 4.8% chance for Luminous ink and 5.9% chance for the Umbra. So, but then you need to figure out what is the minimum of the two, because you can't say like, because I craft more Umbra ink, I can craft like, there's a 5.09% chance for me to actually melt a single Death Blossom. Well, which you gotta start with 5, right? But then you get my idea. And mill a single Death Blossom and get enough to actually make one of the Tomb of the Still Mind. It's going to be limited by the Luminous ink, because the Luminous ink, you need more of it to actually fulfill the gap between them. You probably need to buy from an auction house or something. So I just go with like the lower ones, because it's actually more profitable to usually sell the ink than actually turning them to the Tomb of the Still Mind. But the ink doesn't actually sell really well. It's like not very fast anyway. So Tome is actually the better of the two. So then you say, well, what is the minimum of the two pigment that I need? Which in here would be 4.8% if you're milling Death Blossom and 8.29% if you're milling Nightshade. And then you say, well, what is the cost that I want for these pigments to be? I say 90 gold. And since these are all 90 gold, it's like, okay, so the cost of the pigment is 90 gold, and how much I can like mill these for, it'd be like 4.32 for the Death Blossom and 7.46 for the Nightshade. Again, these are just the cost of pigments, because if you go down here, you actually need to have 25 dark patchment, which is going to cost you about 2.5 gold. And in order for you to turn these luminous pigment and Umbra pigment into inks, you actually need to actually give them like 1 water, right? Or and 1, if I remember correctly, okay, yeah, you need like 1 water and 1 rune. So yeah, it takes a little bit of money, but you need them to actually turn it into ink. So there are some additional costs. So let's call it 93 gold actually. That would be more correct. So if you want it to be 93 gold, you need like 4.4 you need like 4.4 gold for, you can buy the Death Blossom at 4.46 gold or 47, and you can buy the Nightshade at like 7.71 gold, and you're gonna end up with a Tomb of the Still Mind costing you like 93 gold to make. And right now you can sell it at 150 gold, so you can make some profit. It's just 93, right? So, but then again, like I mentioned, you're gonna sell a lot more. You're gonna make more money by selling the ink compared to selling any missive or the Tomb of the Still Mind. But since Tomb of the Still Mind is actually a item that sells really fast, it's actually well worth it to craft like Tomb of the Still Mind. So how I am doing it is every single time I start doing milling stuff and turning them into the Tomb of the Still Mind, I will probably save like, I will say 30% of the ink and just throw in the auction house. and turn them into someone, well, pretty much turn them into gold, right? Until someone buys it. And if my tome of the steel mine is like all sold out and I still have ink left over, I'll grab those ink from the auction house, turn it into tome, and just sell it that way. So that's pretty much how I've been dealing with Inscription. And there's one more thing I want to talk about is I keep telling you that I don't really care about the tranquil pigment, and here I'm gonna give you the reasons to why. As you can see, if you want a lot of tranquil pigment, you can actually just mill Nightshade. And milling Nightshade will give you a higher chance to get the tranquil pigment compared to the other two. That means you will end up with more tranquil pigment compared to the other ones. And if you look at the how much it costs, like how much ink it costs to actually craft like missives, tome, which no, tome costs 0, and the codex, right? It only requires 1 tranquil ink. So how about a Dark Moon deck? Sorry. So let's go for like what is the tranquil ink used for on the wildhead.com. And you can see for the Dark Moon decks, you can create this item, which costs you like Luminous Ink 7, Umbra Ink 7, 1 Tranquil Ink. So that's 7-to-1 ratio. And there's a chance for you to proc like a blank one. And then you can use a 1 additional ink to turn these blank ones into a particular ones that you want. So that means, theoretically speaking, at maximum you need like 7 of the Luminous and Umbra ink and 2 Tranquil ink for a Dark Moon card, right? Assuming you keep crafting blanks, which doesn't happen, but you know, say it that way. So the demand of it is 7 Luminous ink, 7 Umbra ink, and 2 Tranquil ink. That's like 7-to-2, right? Ratio wise. But then if you look at the chance of you proccing a Tranquil pigment, it's higher than the other ones. So in the end, you end up with more tranquil pigment, but then you need more umbrella pigment and luminous pigment to create your missives or your, the codex and your Dark Moon cards. So in the end, you will have a bunch left over, which you can't get rid of because most people actually mill their own stuff, and they're gonna know the chance of them getting the tranquil pigment is so much higher than the other ones, and they pretty much don't even have to, buy any of it, or not buy any of it. It's like they pretty much don't even need to worry about it and gonna left over with a bunch of trash. And how I've been dealing with tranquil pigment is I've been trying to sell it, turn it into ink, and try to sell it. It didn't end like too well because like they might sell like 1,000 or something a week, and I have like a lot, dude. So in the end, what I did is I sold, I think probably somewhere around like 13k tranquil pigment in the past 2 days by lowering the tranquil pigment from their 12 gold, like 20 gold, to 5 gold. So it went from 20 gold, around 20 gold, all the way down to 5 gold. Then they were gone like that. So only thing I can say is, well, there's probably someone thought, hey, I can flip the market of these because this guy doesn't know what he's doing. I'm gonna flip them. I was like, yeah, best of luck, my friend. So if anybody's on like Storm Rage US and you need tranquil pigment, I will sell you to you for 1 gold each. How about that? It's like it's vendor trash for me, but if you want it, you can have it for 1 gold. Cause hey, I'm a capitalist, man. I don't give away stuff for free. I know people are gonna hate me for it, but that's how it is. So anyway, that's pretty much all the tips I have for doing Inscription. And let's summarize. Inscription, in order for you to make gold for Inscription, you should mill your own Nightshade. If you want tranquil pigment, then Death Blossom. If you don't want the tranquil pigment. And here's the cost of it. All right, if it's 4.46 gold, you probably just buy Death Blossom, assuming you want to you're selling Tune of Steel Mine, right, at 93 gold cost. So you're probably selling it like 120 gold to make money. And then the Nightshade, right, it's like 7.71 gold, and the ratio of the two I forgot to calculate is gonna be 1.7. So if Death Blossom is costing you 70%, like 72% less than the Nightshade, just buy Nightshade. I mean, just buy Death Blossom. Sorry, I said it wrong. But Death Blossom, they actually have a lot of uses for Death Blossom. So I personally is not gonna be able to mill like Death Blossom. That's why, as you can see, there's like not a lot of chances of like results for these. I pretty much milled them just for this episode, kind of show you guys what's the rate of it. You know, it is what it is. And the reason why that I'm not using this for Death Blossom is I need Death Blossom to craft like Iron level 200 gear, which I'm gonna talk about later, and which it's gonna be a lot more profitable than me milling the Death Blossom when I can just mill Nightshade. And yeah, that's pretty much what I want to talk about. Is that if your server doesn't have an annoying person that just camp the auction house and keep undercutting you for missives, you know, you can sell some missives too. It's like, even though it says like very low profit, you're probably gonna still make gold because remember, you mill your own stuff. It's gonna be very safe. But then if you are selling like missives, then this math here doesn't work for you. You need to figure out your own math by figuring out like how to calculate this one. If you want to sell like one of each missive crafted each time, I believe I remember correctly, there's like total of 40 of these pigments you will need for each one, or 20, I don't remember. We can add it up really quickly, right? That's 8, that's 6, that's 14, so that's 4, that would be 18, and that's a 2, that'll be a 20. Oh, so you need 20 of each ink, because like this is just flip of the other one, right? So you need 20 of each ink to craft like every single missive, pretty much. So you can go from there, just divide by 20, then you know, figuring out how much like you want the tune like to cost, that set of it, right? Set of individual ones, because individual ones they have different like needs for these. You can do that too if you want to, but I'm not gonna go over that. That's math is like hurting my brain right now. So yeah, if you don't have anybody that's undercutting you on missives, you know, you can try that too. But then what I do is I just sell the tune that's still mine. I also sell the ink, and I also sell the vendor trash called Tranquil Pigment. So that's all I want to talk about for Inscription. And now let's start talking about how I am making gold this week and how I'm doing. All right. And if you want to know who is actually keep undercutting me, oh shoot, he's not here. The person's not here. He usually, or her, are usually at this position right there. It's like I start wondering if he's a bot or not, but then from time to time he does go AFK, so I don't know. Maybe very advanced bot, I'd say. All right, now let's talk about the chart, because everybody need to know the chart. All right. Oh well, let's go over the dashboard first. So based on the dashboard, I have 13.3 million gold. I know it's like 95, but I like to round it down because that's why, you know, it's more accurate. Because it's like they keep changing every single time. It's like I don't even know like how they calculate this chart at all. So it's not very accurate, I say. And then let's compare to 7 days ago, which is the 19th. I have like 12.8, because a little while ago it was telling me like I have 12.7 so about a week ago. So I don't actually know what's going on here, all right? So please forgive me. And over here that's like 13.3. 13.3. So like what? Okay, that's like 500k gold. Okay, so I pretty much made 500k gold in the past 7 days. And it's not good because my target was like 100k a day. I did not meet that, and the reason why I didn't meet that is I actually spent a lot of gold like today. It's like, let's look at the ledger, right? If you look at the expenses and we just look at how much money I spent in the past 7 days, it's like 2.6 million. Oh shoot, sorry, 2.6 million. And if you look at this one right here, like 5 hours ago, I bought a bunch of these ores. These ores, I'm pretty much buying them to actually make the iron level 200 gear. I'm probably not going to use all of these. They're probably going to last me like probably a week, or a month or so, because like that's like a lot. I'm just crafting them into like shadow gas ingot. I'm also going to be using them try to craft my ring Lego, because I'm actually pushing that thing as well, and they were actually selling for profit for rank 2 and rank 5 right now. So you know, so that's why I was pushing it to make some gold and leveling up my shadow gas ring. I'm not gonna craft the shadow gas like necklace, because that thing is just you're not making money. So, but then if you're prospecting your own ore and you sell like iron level 200 blue gear, and item level like 100, level 50 range, you can consider those essence free, but the shadow gas is not free. All right, that thing is not free. So, is it worth it? No, it's not. So I'm not gonna waste my time on it. Unless you guys want me to, I might give it a try, like, in the future. But for now, I have absolutely no interest to craft that necklace. So if we look at all these costs, right, as you can see, I pretty much spend, I would say, a few 100k gold right there. Because like if you say like these are 10 golds, right, that's like 320k. So each of these like 320k, right? Yeah. So it's like, yeah, that's how much gold I spent. Just oh wait, no, that's like 20k. Is it gonna be 300? So if it's like 10 gold, you add a 0 here. Oh, it's a 32k. Okay, I was gonna say, well, 300, that doesn't sound right. So these are like 32k gold, and you can consider that, well, round it down, so it would be like less conservative, well, more conservative, right? My point of view is like try to justify why my goal's low. So that's like, let's say this is like 32k, this 32k, 32k, 32k. That's like 32k times 4. That's 100. That's 128k gold already. Not to mention here's like 20k plus that 20k, so that's 140 some k gold just from like these ones down here. Not to mention there are still more up there. So I bought a lot of these ores, and it cost me like a couple 100k gold. So if you don't consider these, because these are technically mats for the future sales, if you don't include them, I probably made 100k gold. But if you do include them, I did not make 100k gold. So let's go over like what I sold. Another thing is I've been noticing like whenever I go to sale, it's gonna show me like maybe like 2.75 million gold like coming in, but my expenses is like 2.6. But however, based on this dash line, my goal is go up by 500k. So I don't know what's going on here. So it's like, I think the ledger is probably not that accurate, because otherwise I can't account for like how I actually have more gold. Like where did the other 400k gold come from when this is like 2.7 million is my pretty much revenue, and 2.6 million is my cost. It's like, what? How does that even work? It's like, how do you even come up with the other 400k gold? It's like, what? No. So anyway, I pretty much last week I was selling like consumables, which means like I mentioned in the beginning, I just sat in front of the computer for like a couple hours during like specific days on like Tuesdays and the weekends, from like 7 to like 9 p.m. By listing like items. Sometimes like there's no competition, I just list like 500 of them. If there is a competition for a specific item, usually when you sell like potion, agility, intelligent, like Phantom Fire, you can only list like 20 items a stack, because people are gonna keep undercutting you. So, and if you don't undercut back, that guy will think that you're not there. They're gonna put like hundreds on top of you, so you can't sell your stuff. So like I mentioned before, just like 20 items a stack and keep stacking each other. Sell them. It's like very, very annoying. So I didn't like that. So I went back and I was like, okay, I'm gonna sell these gear. So these are crafted gears for like it's like level 50s. I know like in here they kind of don't account for the crafter mark that I'm using, so these are novice crafter mark. So once I apply it, all these will turn into a level 50 gear, like 80, I don't know, level 87. So that's pretty much all I've been selling. I also got into selling the blue stuff, but in the level 200, level 60 blue item, there's an issue. Is there's a couple guys that's like keep undercutting me, and due to the limitation of how many items I can cancel at a time, I simply cannot defeat them, because there's 2 of them, 1 of me. That means they don't list as much item as me, and they can cancel like 60 items at once. So they can pretty much, let's say they post like maybe 20 items at once. I had to post like 80. So they can cancel their stuff at a much like easier way like than me, because I have to cancel 80 of them, and the computer, well, Blizzard only allows me like sometimes like 85, like 65, sometimes like 60 item. Then I'm gonna run into a limit, and they're gonna pretty much forbid me from canceling too fast. So then I gotta go back to the mailbox, grab that 60, and put them back into the auction house. It's just not going to work. While the other guy can just like post like 3 times and then cancel once and cancel 60 and use out all the 60 cancel within that minute, and then just repost it. So I can't do that compared to whatever the other guys do. Of course, like once you cancel 60, you can pretty much cancel maybe 30 after a couple minutes, but it's not gonna be full 60 again. So I simply do not have enough in my guild bank to actually being able to play the game with those guys that keep undercutting me. But there's a good thing about selling these island level 200 gear is that people buying them from time to time actually will check the stats on the gear. So if they have this, if I have the stats they want, they'll buy my gear over the guy that's undercutting me. But these people are actually the minority. And how I know they're minorities? Because when those two guys aren't around, the stuff I put on the auction house just flies off the shelf. And so it's like, that just proves that people are actually just buying island level 200 gear at the lowest price, or like, even if it's not lower, it's like the first guy there, so they just buy it. So it is what it is. But from time to time, I do get to sell these blue items. And because of what those two guys are doing, right, they piss off some other people, they started, oh my god, they started making it super not, well, I won't say not profitable, maybe for those guys not profitable, for me still, because I was using the what's that thing called, the Alchemist's Crafter Mark III, which costs a lot less money than the other one, especially compared to like the other professions. So let's look at the ring, right? You see the rings like 700G, 400G, 800G. Well, these are shadow guys, so I'm making money on those. Those don't count as rings. Like the blue rings that I was talking about. So I'm making money, but if you compare it to like, I don't know, 4 days ago, you can see, dude, there's like a couple one that's over 1,000, 900. It's like you don't see these like 400 golds, dude. You just don't. So it's like, so they pissed off some other guy, then that guy got really pissed off, so he just like undercut it to oblivion. I was like, oh crap, dude. And then while I was scrolling through my post, I was like, should I hit skip? I was like, screw them. I'm making money, whatever, man. I'm not gonna waste my time to hit cancel or skip, right? Because when you're like posting stuff with the TSM, you can set a macro. Then once you like post scan, you can just hold down, like make a macro, right? My macro is like shift and scroll, so mouse wheel. So I just shift and mouse wheel and sell that. I was like, dude, I'm not gonna spend my time to hit like skip. Screw you, I'm selling it because I'm making gold, right? So yeah, I think that guy's probably gonna be very mad and probably gonna sell that at a loss, and I would just laugh at him, or I just buy them out. So I was like, okay, whatever, man. Oh man, that's a funny joke about it. So yeah, let's go back to making these. But then even though like the blue gear is really getting like undercut really bad, it's only like for the past couple of days. Before they're not that bad. They're still there, but you know, I guess I didn't really pick a war with them. I've been like doing listing on list, like relisting for like 10 minutes straight with those guys. In the end, I have thrown in the towel, man. I just simply hitting the 60 post limit. I mean 60 cancel limit, so I can't do anything about it. And so now my strategy of defeating these guys is to craft like 40 of each island level 200, level 60 gear, and then just go to war with them. If they undercut me, I'm not gonna cancel. I'm just keep posting like 40 times, all right? Like I mentioned, there are people actually looking for specific stats. If I have 40 of each island listing in auction house, those people are probably most likely gonna find one that's sold by me. So you know, that's good enough for me. And then the green stuff, green level 50 gear, everybody needs them right now, so they're just buying it, and that I don't have a lot of competition. I need to log in at once every hour to relist. You know, it's like they sell from time to time. That's good enough for me. I don't need them to be like making me banks. But that's pretty much what I've been selling for the past few days. These are just like vendor trash from a couple like Transmark runs. So yeah, that's pretty much, and these are like the elixirs and like for Pandoria, because I got into leveling like up my inscription for Pandoria to make living steels, because I was testing out to see if living steel is worth it to craft, because they cost like pretty much 900 gold, but I can sell them for like 1.5k. I sold 4 of them yesterday, and I was seeing if there's really a demand for it. So yeah, let's see. So that's pretty much what I've been selling. Mostly just these level 50 gears and sometimes level 60 blue gear at island level 200. Oh, these ones are vendor trash. Sorry. And then I've also been selling the lightest silk. Remember that last week I said I bought a bunch of them. Like I bought out like 40 some K. I still have 40 some K of it. I'm still selling like lightest silk pouch. It was pretty good profit because someone flipped the market and sold them at like 500 gold. And now someone is pulling all the way back down to like 400 gold. Like, dude, 400 gold, I'm losing money. So, dude, I'm out. I'm just waiting for someone to actually reset the market because I don't know like how low the lighted silk will go. I've been still buying out lighted silk like below 13 gold for about a week ago. Now I'm buying them up if they're below like 12 gold because I know I can make money from there. So yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing. And that's all I want to talk about today. Have fun, guys, and take care. And hopefully you make a lot of gold. I'm not sure if I need to go into more detail of how I am making these items. If you guys want me to, I will. Right now, I'm in the process of testing out the prospect rate for the lithium ore, which costs like 44 gold each. And I need a big data set, so I might drop like 500,000 gold just to show you guys the results of it and whether or not they're worth it for anybody. Right now, I don't know, because if you're crafting Legos, I would say based on the map I have so far, they're kinda not worth it. Over the ghost iron ore, I'm not ghost iron ore. I've been doing too much transmutation for the living steel on ghost iron ore. Oh my god, the other I forgot the name of it, but either way, the other ore. So for Shadowland. Anyway, that's all I want to talk about today. Have fun, guys, and take care.